Hello everyone, I'm Anıl Aşkın. I look forward to joining ANAMED's 2022-23 cohort this September as a PhD fellow. At ANAMED, I will be working on my research project and dissertation, which is tentatively titled, quote, "The Capital Which Brings Peace and Security in Two Worlds," unquote, Ottoman Extractivism and Circuits of Capital in the Early 19th Century, 1805 to 1850. As the title might suggest, I'm broadly interested in the history of capitalism and extractivism. But before talking more about my research, I would like to first talk more about my academic background and how I ended up here. I double majored in economics and history at Boğaziçi University. At Boğaziçi, I became more and more interested in classical and critical political economy and economic history to make sense of contemporary and historical capitalism. I then defended my MA thesis in 2017, again at Boğaziçi in the Department of History. In my MA thesis, I studied environment making and labor relations in the imperial landed estates of Mihaliç in the province of Hüdavendigar in the early 1840s. I'm currently a PhD candidate in the Department of History at Brown University in the United States. Here I have been trained in modern Middle East history, history of capitalism, and environmental history. My coursework and extensive reading across themes, times, and spaces distilled into my research project. Very concisely, I work on a biography of an imperial functionary whose social mobility was well synchronized with three circuits of capital between the Napoleonic Wars and the dawn of Tanzimat reforms. Started as a scribal clerk, this functionary's upward social mobility, reaching its zenith with his military-industrial entrepreneurship in the 1830s, allows me to disaggregate and then reaggregate the following three ecologies of production. One is the mining zones located in the central and southeastern Anatolia, especially gold, silver, copper, and lead mines. These mining zones provided ingredients necessary for both minting coins and military logistics in general. The second ecology of production that I follow is opium. Opium was produced extensively in the western Anatolia by small peasantry, and later the state got involved by issuing monopoly and monopsony. And lastly, I follow sheep and wool, respectively grazed and shorn in western Thrace and Bursa, which then got to be shipped to Istanbul. I do not study these three commodities and their production ecologies as loosely connected case studies to contribute to the Ottoman economic history. Rather, I show how each production ecology forms an autonomous circuit of capital orbiting around the Ottoman imperial mint. Darphane-i Amire. What do I mean by orbiting? I mean that the ground logistics, extensive finances, and reproduction of these circuits of capital were overseen, monitored, and managed at varying capacities by imperial functionaries, one of whom clearly occupies the central scene in my research. I'm very strongly inclined to think that these circuits of capital are conducive to disentangle state making and sovereignty by denaturalizing capital and capitalism in Ottoman history. The two dominant approaches in Ottoman studies have been to overemphasize the sovereignty and fiscal crises of the ruling elite, or exclusively study one local space. The former approach leaves imperial power structures under-questioned, while the latter neglects the interconnectedness of different localities. Moving beyond these two dominant approaches, my study builds on new histories of capitalism and historical materialism. The new histories of capitalism, especially the works on Atlantic slavery, inspires me to investigate pre-industrial agriculture and commerce as venues of non-industrial capital and capitalisms. And historical materialism helps me analyze capital as governing power over labor and its products. With the help of these lines of thought, I explore Ottoman extractivism in move between the urban and rural, and local and global. Studying the circuits, spaces, and temporalities of capital, I denaturalize Ottoman extractivism and expose its ties with global capitalism. To sum up, instead of offering a progressivist and developmentalist account of capital, I develop capital as an internal category of analysis by paying attention to the power and power relations. During my fellowship term at ANAMED, I will be primarily studying the under-catalogued archives of the Ottoman Imperial Mint in the Presidential Ottoman State Archives. Alongside my archival research, I will be planning field trips to historical neighborhoods, cemeteries, and museums in Istanbul and other cities in Anatolia. It is mostly to enrich my political economic analysis with biographical traces and capital's footprints. Once again, I'm looking forward to joining ANAMED's 2022-23 cohort, and thank you very much for listening.